ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the broadcast Bullies. Today is July 16th. My name is Ryan Troke.
I'm Andrew Boyce.
Sorry to throw you off with the slightly impromptu intro music. We're trying something new today.
I kind of like it. It's brought to you by Freshmen.
Freshmen
Living the life down under.
Down under.
Speaking of living the life, we're going to get right into it.
Let's do it. Let's start with what everybody's talking about in the sports world.
We made a decision. Oh no, we're returning.
Yep.
LeBron James.
And we wrote a nice little essay about it. Got it spell checked and everything.
Quite the difference than the decision.
Yeah.
The return, much better, well thought out.
I mean, yeah, first of all, he said his 4 years was like going to college. I bet one of his classes was English and another one of them was just sort of manners, maybe.
Maybe personal relations.
Yeah. And so that's the first thing that really struck me is how, and I always said the decision wasn't bad except that he didn't stay in Cleveland. If you're going to make all that noise and stuff, you can't just stab your hometown in the back.
Without them knowing.
No, exactly.
Like, nobody knew he was doing that except for Dwayne Wade, Pat Riley, and Chris Bosh.
Yeah, and now he's taken the knife back out. Or did Dan Gilbert take the knife out? Or what do you think their relationship's like? They should go on Maury or something.
I'm really interested to see what happened between those two. From all intents and purposes, I can't imagine they had a conversation, just those guys, in one room until probably a week ago. There's no way every time LeBron James was back in Cleveland that Dan Gilbert said, "Hey LeBron, come up to my room after, come up to the suite, say hello.
Yeah.
Say hello to my wife, my kids, whatever." There's no way those two were around each other, close proximity, being cordial.
I can't even imagine. I've never had to write a letter like Dan Gilbert wrote about LeBron James, let alone then post it to the World Wide Web for the masses to read about an individual. I mean, that's a rocky relationship, and Dan Gilbert has to just be kissing his feet now. I mean,
what kind of spine is that, though? You toast the guy.
Oh, what spine?
Exactly. You toast the guy, and then, oh yeah, wait, you're the best player in the world. You want to come back to my team? Okay, well then, here, I'll give you all this money, and I'll take that letter down. I'm very sorry.
Yeah. My bad. Oh, that letter. No, that was the wrong letter. I'm thinking of a different King James. No, that wasn't directed at you. No, that's a little interesting, and I'm kind of wondering now. I mean, having read LeBron's letter, a few things really stood out to me. The fact that he mentioned that it's bigger than basketball. He addressed the fact that he let his community down, and he made a good point. I think I'm going to try to quote as directly as I can, but he said, kids growing up in a community, they look up to an athlete and they want to make themselves better people. They want to live better lives because of this athlete. And then he just goes and deserts them like that. What does that say to the kids? And so I thought that was really mature of him to come and address that point. He also addressed his teammates, his future teammates, and he specifically did not address the first overall selections from the past 2 years. Little Canadian content. He mentioned Tristan Thompson. But I'm wondering, do you think that he's trying to hint at those are some pieces to bring in Kevin Love?
I hate to create stories that when people say stuff, but I feel he either knows that the Cavaliers are shopping Wiggins and Bennett, or that he thinks they should be.
Right.
Because in that letter, he also addressed how he doesn't think that they're ready right now.
No.
And I think that is addressing the squad that if the season started today that the Cavaliers would have. He knows they're not ready right now, and I'm of that belief too. But the moment they get Kevin Love, you go from having a big three in Miami to a bigger and better three, and a much younger three in Cleveland.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you're right, he mentions that, we're not ready now. So then you're interested to see the term of the deal. Like, how long are you going to give us?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll give you 24 months.
Yeah, I'm going to give you 2 years. I think that's his genius on his agent's part.
Oh, absolutely.
Signing for that duration, and then he can get another bigger max level contract in 2 years when the CBA changes.
Yep.
What does this mean for his legacy?
You know what? I saw a really good sports writer, and the name escapes me, but he made a really good point saying how, he can't catch MJ. You can't catch Kobe in terms of rings. So if he really wants to get on Mount Rushmore, he needs to have the better story. And if he can come and bring a championship to Cleveland, not even if he can bring a championship to Ohio, then that's a better story. Bringing it to his home state, a really run down town in terms of sports. I mean, when have we been talking about anybody in Cleveland except for this past year with Johnny Manziel getting drafted?
Since when is Cleveland a hot spot to be in a sporting in the sports world? Like Cleveland's used to be the place you don't want to go to.
Yep.
And now it's apparently where everyone's going to be. I mean, Drake, he has his work cut out for him. He's going to be the biggest cheerleader of Cleveland sports on that side of the border.
Yeah, I don't know if
on this side of the border.
Is he a cheerleader? Is he a bandwagoner? I mean, he wants to be where people are winning. And I can't blame him. When I was 6, my favorite hockey team was whoever won the cup the year before. But, I mean...
That's still how I work, but...
Yeah. But, no, I think this improves his legacy because at the moment, you look and you say, oh, well, he left his hometown. He won 2 rings, sure, but he couldn't do it on his own. When he did get to the finals on his own, they got killed. So, what kind of legacy is that? And it's not much of one. So... and I think...
Well, then let me ask you the question this way. Say in 2 years or right away they get back to the finals and Cleveland doesn't win. And they keep getting back to the finals and they don't win. And it's not for LeBron. LeBron puts up his 28 points a game and maybe he has a monster game of 38, 40 points. It's not... Because, like you just said, he can't do it by himself. But Cleveland never wins a championship because of those pieces. Does that change the way you look at him?
Absolutely.
If he doesn't win a championship for Cleveland,
if he doesn't win a championship,
does he have a better story than MJ or Kobe?
No. Say if he gets them to the finals 3 times in a row, that's a pretty interesting story. But MJ did that twice, and he won all 3 times. He gets them 4 times in a row. That's even. That's almost worse because now you're back in Buffalo Bills territory.
Yeah.
And we don't want to touch that.
Buffalo's the second worst city next to Cleveland.
No kidding.
Let's remember that.
So it's interesting. And I do think what'll play a big part is whether or not they get Kevin Love. And, and I think it's even been said that Dan Gilbert has been actively shopping Bennett and Dion Waiters and just making a package of everybody except for Andrew Wiggins. And at the current moment, it sounds like the only way this deal is getting done is if Wiggins is involved. Do you do that deal?
No. Not until I let Wiggins play with Kyrie and LeBron and see if he can play in that shooting guard role.
Okay.
If you can, then you keep him because I think he's a dynamic talent. And sooner or later, LeBron's game is going to change. He's not going to be a rim attacker where Wiggins can step in and attack the rim.
Yep.
And if you end up having 2 small forwards in Wiggins and LeBron, the way the basketball is trending towards small ball, that's not a bad thing either.
No, not at all. I'm a little torn on this. Main reason being...
I can't give up Wiggins for Love, and then Wiggins turns into the next all-star, like a next superstar, Kevin Durant, LeBron James level.
Well, exactly, and that's what you're always afraid of, right? You don't want to give up that player, in like, say, a Tuukka Rask or a Tyler Seguin type situation.
No.
But on the other hand, a bird in the hand is more valuable than 2 in the bush. And in this case, we're talking about 1 in the bush. So, you've got a proven player in Kevin Love, and you've got a potentially greater player in Andrew Wiggins, but he's not proven, Greg Oden was potentially a perennial all-star, and, one thing led to another. It turns out he doesn't have any knees. Brandon Roy, same situation. So you don't want to pass this up and regret it as well.
The deal, I know, it's a tough say, but if we look back on it and then do make the deal's only worth it if Wiggins peaks at becoming another Carmelo or at best like a Kyrie Irving, where he's an all-star, he's a perennial all-star, but he's not that superstar that can make or break your team and dominate a league.
Yeah.
If he doesn't reach that level, then it's fine. And that's the thing. Then you get Kevin Love, who's that same level right now, and makes your team that much more of a contender. And so that's, especially for a title, and that's what makes the deal worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if Cleveland does win a title in these next 2 years, does LeBron stay after his contract runs out?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think so.
Yeah, I don't.
No?
No, I think if he brings them a ring, that's, hey, I'm good. I'm going to the Lakers. You know what I mean? I'm rejuvenating that franchise. I've got you your championship. I think he leaves again. I don't know if he does a decision again, but I think if he brings them a championship, unless, well, he's going to play out his 2 years. If he brings them 2 championships, then maybe he stays just to try to three-peat. Maybe he signs a bridge deal like that. But certainly if he stays there for, like, let's say just 4 or 5 years, and he doesn't win championships all those years, but he does win at least one, then he's out. If he can't continue to win, I think a good way to put it will be whenever he starts winning championships, and theoretically, whenever he starts winning championships, as soon as he stops, he's out.
Yeah.
He's got no reason to stay if he's not going to win, because especially if he has already won. If he doesn't win, then I think he does stay because, again, his story is not complete until he does. And, at this point, he's writing the same story as like Charles Barkley and Karl Malone, all those great players of the 90s who just happened to be playing against Jordan. Only difference is that there's no Jordan. He's the Jordan right now, and he can't win. So his story's got a little bit of an asterisk next to it, but it's interesting nonetheless. All right, you think we've exhausted King James?
I think we have 12 minutes of the King talk.
12 minutes of the King. We could probably do another 3 or 5. And actually, let's, you want to talk about where he came from?
Let's touch on the Eastern Conference. This has dramatically reshaped the conference. The Cavs are now contender to come out of there, but so is everybody else.
Yep.
Miami's still Miami with Bosh and Wade and their signings and Dang, and they're still pretty good.
Yeah.
But then you also have the Bulls. Picked up Pau Gasol. They're gonna have D-Rose come back. That's a superstar level player if he's able to perform coming back, and that can make or break a team, as we just talked about.
The last 6 years, only 3 players have won MVPs, and one of them has won 4.
Yes. The Wizards were a revelation this year, and they just picked up Paul Pierce. If he can mesh well with John Wall and Bradley Beal, they're going to be like a good team.
And Marcin Gortat.
Yeah, the Nets are still the Nets, led by they traded their coach, and then the Raps have re-signed Lowry, Patterson, Vasquez. They're looking like the same team last year, who's more a year older, and they got Bruno.
Yeah, they don't have Bruno yet.
Well, they got Bruno. He's on the way.
He's somewhere. No, I'm. Well, first of all, I'll make my predictions right now. I see the Raptors coming out of the East. I see. Or sorry, I don't actually know.
Out of the Atlantic.
Out of the Atlantic. Sorry, out of the Atlantic. Correct. I see the Wizards coming out of the Southeast, and I see Chicago in the Central. Mm-hmm. Unless Kevin Love gets traded to Cleveland, then I see Cleveland. Even if Derrick Rose doesn't come back, those 2 big men of Gasol and Noah, that's going to be pretty hard to beat in a pathetic division, in a pretty pathetic conference,
If you're Chicago, do you think you'd try to put 2 Gasols in Noah's Ark and try to go get Mark?
I don't know. 3 big men. I don't know what you do with that. That's just a whole lot of height.
I just wanted to make that joke there. There's no way you could rotate those 3 guys, especially when Marc Gasol and Paul Gasol are both all-stars.
Okay, well, I'm a little bit tired. I can't tell. You got me real thinking hard about that one. I could find a pro, but I could find a lot more cons.
I just found it funny that of all the teams we talked about, we didn't talk about the Knicks and Melo because we don't feel like they're ready to go up there.
No, why were we going to talk about the Knicks?
Exactly. Okay.
And you know what? And I don't get Carmelo making that sign. Okay, you know what? On the one hand, I do. It's hard to just say no to $25 million.
And Phil Jackson.
As a GM.
Yeah.
I just... Again, it's another
okay.
Carmelo and who?
Put yourself in Carmelo's shoes. He goes, hey, Phil, I'm thinking of leaving to win some championships like Kobe and Jordan. And Phil goes, okay. And Mel goes, well, I think I'm gonna go where LeBron goes, or look after LeBron, or go to the Lakers, or maybe the Bulls. and then Phil comes back and says, "You want to be like Kobe and Jordan," as he simultaneously holds up his hands.
Yeah. And he's got a ring on his toes.
The man who coached Kobe and Jordan to all those championships.
Yep. No, I see that. I just, especially if you're going to take a max contract.
And this is a Phil Jackson who was spurned by the Lakers. This isn't just some guy who's, vacation dream job is the Knicks. He understands where he is being the self-proclaimed in the mecca of basketball. He realizes what he needs to do.
See, my only argument would be that right now the best player in the game only has 2 rings. He goes to Houston, where I don't know if they can still pick up Trevor Ariza if they've got enough room. Probably not. But regardless, they've still got Harden and Howard. Between the 3 of them...
That's a really good big 3.
Oh, yeah. It's a tough Western Conference, but they're the favorites if he goes to Houston.
Yeah.
And then there's no stopping them from winning, potentially at least 2 titles. And if they're winning, then Cleveland isn't winning. And now the discussion is, well, is LeBron actually the best player playing right now? He still is.
I would have liked to see... I think that the 2 moves that his agent made were bad mistakes for him were the max years for New York, because now he's tied up 5 years in New York, regardless of how well they do. Yeah. He's getting max money, but LeBron's getting max money as well, except his contract's only 2 years, and he can opt out next year if he'd like.
Yeah.
Carmelo can't. And the second move that I really would have liked to see him do, obviously would have needed some cooperation by the Knicks and the Bulls, but I would have liked him to see go play Chicago.
Yeah, I feel like the better move for Chicago is still bringing in Pau Gasol, though.
They could have brought in Gasol and Melo if they would have been able to get rid of Boozer.
Yeah, and we saw this morning they did just get rid of Boozer, so it potentially could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't.
No.
What are you gonna do? And it's funny in that regards. You didn't. Chicago's still good. New York's still bad. Just Chicago's not as good, and New York's not as bad.
Yeah.
And then we mentioned the Bulls. We mentioned the Heat. Did we mention Toronto? Toronto, they just sort of kept the status quo. All right, well let's move on then.
Let's go. Let's talk about the Rockets. Let's go to the West Coast.
Let's do it.
The bad team in Texas making all kinds of moves.
Yep.
Not to be outdone by the championship-winning Spurs or the Stars for re-signing for less than the Mavericks. These guys were trying to be movers and shakers this year. They fared pretty well.
Yeah, no,
They could have fared a little bit better picking up Carmelo or picking up Bosh, but I mean they got Ariza. They got someone that can play defense now. They got rid of Lynn's contract. They got some space.
No, they made some good moves. Got rid of Ashik as well. Got rid of his contract.
Yeah, which is surprising to say. The team has cap space when they have Dwight Howard and James Harden.
Yeah, no, you're right. What's interesting is, there you mentioned the 3 Texas teams right now looking like 3 of the best teams in the West.
And that's another reason I think LeBron stayed in the East and so did Carmelo.
Yeah.
That's just 3 teams in Texas you got to go through.
Well, exactly. You still got OKC, still got the Clippers, still got Memphis, still got Portland, still got Phoenix on the rise.
Golden State.
I didn't even mention Golden State. Yeah, you still got tons of teams, and even the bad teams in the West, you can't write out. You can't write off the Kings yet. They won't make the playoffs, but those games aren't shoe-offs.
No.
Aren't write-offs. No, I do like what the Rockets did. I like what the Spurs did even more. And yes, but what did the Spurs do? Well, they signed Boyce and they didn't lose anybody.
Yeah.
The championship team is coming back. Their veteran players don't seem to get old, and their young players are getting older.
And stepping up.
Exactly.
You just saw the transformation of Kawhi Leonard.
Yep.
Speaking of transformations, you just mentioned 10, 11 teams in the Western Conference.
Yep, and even the Nuggets and the Jazz, you never know when they're going to show up.
You just up that total to 13, and you did not even mention the Lakers.
Nope.
Are the Lakers still a destination franchise? It would almost feel, in my honest opinion, nobody really wants to go there anymore, except for maybe an aging Steve Nash.
Yeah.
Dwight Howard wanted to go there, found out, hey, can't work with Kobe. He is a bit of Dwight Howard is selfish, total baby, wanted out.
But still, they've had tough personalities as well. I mean, Shaq was a tough personality when he was in the league.
Yeah.
You know.
They just lost Pau Gasol. They lost Meta World Peace. Well, probably good riddance on them.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to really go play there anymore.
No.
So when you said before that LeBron James might want to go to the Lakers to make that franchise stronger, I can kind of see that, but I'm doubting it. It's almost as if the Clippers and the Lakers switch bodies. And now everybody wants to go to the Clippers. Nobody wants to go to the Lakers.
Exactly. And, and I was going to say, the Lakers aren't a destination team anymore, but LA is.
LA still is.
And you wonder, did the Lakers have a racist owner get in the newspapers recently? I don't think so. They just got terrible owner.
Their owner died, and now his son is running the show, and it's not working out well for them.
No, not at all. And you look at what they've done in the past with trading, and they've acquired Wilt Chamberlain, Shaquille O'Neal. They acquired Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And even recently, you mentioned they acquired Howard and Nash. And what did they do this offseason?
Nothing.
They got Linsanity.
Yeah, they acquired Chris Paul. Oh, no, wait, they didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
And that's still got to be a sore spot.
Yeah. Okay, then we'll trade him to your rent-paying brothers down the hall.
No, we didn't say that he couldn't go to L.A. We just said he couldn't go to your L.A. team. He can still go to the Staples Center.
Oh, wait. Yeah, that's about the same time the transformation started to begin.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is if they make that deal, then they probably don't need to go and get Steve Nash. They've got Chris Paul, Dwight Howard, and Kobe Bryant. Thanks a lot. Sorry, LeBron, I guess you're only getting one ring. Mm-hmm. It's pretty sad. And even going back to, they're one of the most storied franchises in NBA history, and the other one isn't doing much better either.
No.
You look at Boston and LA. Are we really just seeing a changing of the tides where...
I think this was the first year in about 24 years that both teams had not made the playoffs in the same year. You're going to go through laws as a franchise, and I think they're just going through a simultaneous law at the same time. It's nothing to really be over concerned about, but who knows?
It's funny,
because the Celtics, who were the front runners for Kevin Love for a while, can turn around and flip him and have him and Rondo.
Yep.
And now they're in the East. That's a pretty good combination.
Yeah. Well, especially in that division, And Toronto's going to make the playoffs. Right now, they win the division. But you're right. If Kevin Love goes to Boston, they don't win the division. Mm-hmm. And yeah, even mentioning that they didn't make the playoffs last year, you look at, some of the other storied franchises. Boston didn't make the playoffs. Lakers didn't make the playoffs. The Sixers didn't make the playoffs. And the Knicks didn't make the playoffs. Who are we watching? You know? All right, let's move from the hard court. Let's go to some footy. Let's wrap up this World Cup, which ended in interesting fashion. I saw Jimmy Fallon. He said, don't worry if you just tuned in to watch the end of the game, you watched the whole game. He didn't miss much. It was an exciting game. Germany winning. They are officially, historically, the most consistent World Cup nation. Though they're not the most decorated. Was it about what they did right? Was it about what Argentina didn't do right?
Die Mannschaft. I think I'm going to spend some time talking on them. They were by far the best team in the tournament. On paper for depth, and then on stats, being most goals scored, only 4 goals against.
That's unbelievable.
Had the goalie of the tournament, which, he didn't have the highlight reel games as Howard or Ochoa or the goalie from Iran, but
that just speaks to the defense.
He's Manuel Neuer. He needs to make the saves when he needs to make the saves. Mm-hmm. And when he doesn't make the saves, well, then the Argentinian forward is offside anyway. No, it's just you look at that team and you think of the depth, how Goetz can come on as a substitute, and this is the wonder kid from Bayern Munich. Yep. Okay, who's Argentina responding with? Oh, Sergio Aguero hasn't done anything all the last 2 years of his life.
No. And Argentina was very disappointing.
I thought they played well. I thought it was a good final game. I could, like I said before, I could accept the argument that they shouldn't, maybe not deserve to be in the final. But I thought the final game, they really took it to Germany. They realized they were the underdogs and that they needed to score to have a chance. Because if they went down 1-0, forget about it.
No, it's true.
So they took it to them in the first half, at the beginning of overtime. Unfortunately, it was just the German efficiency machine plowing on through like a Volkswagen.
Yep. And they got no signs of stopping. Watch out for them in 2018. All right, and talking about the flip side of the coin, we'll save 2018 for 2017.
Oh, I'm talking about 2018 right now. I'm thinking Messi. What's he gonna do in 2018? This will be his third World Cup. He's still living in the shadow of Maradona as being the greatest player of all time, on some opinions.
Yep.
He does dominate the game.
Not
he controls it.
Level.
He does. He definitely does. He deserves, in my opinion, he's a deserved MVP of the tournament. This is a guy who has nobody supporting him in the Argentina forward line. Nobody.
That's true.
Nobody plays well. So, what do teams do? What do obsession-crazed managers like Louis van Gaal or Joachim Löw do? The guy from the Swiss did the same thing. They take somebody to man-mark Messi. Man-mark him. Louis van Gaal's whole Netherlands team was built off counterattacking. He switched that up for the semifinals and said, Messi cannot have more than 2 feet of space.
Yeah.
So, of course, he's quiet. If you look at his runs off the ball, there's a guy there just following where he's going. Just following what he's doing and where he's going to go. Is it impossible to play against? No. Is it very hard? Yes. The tackles he was receiving, people were like, if we're not getting the ball, we're not letting him get by.
Right.
With that being said, I think he still created most of Argentina's chances, and he was at the helm of their greatest scoring chances as well.
No, he was their whole squad, it seemed.
Yeah. Mascherano played well. Romero played well. The back four played extremely well for being a bunch of having no expectations coming in, but he was the only one going forward.
Yeah, well, that's true. And so I guess I do give him a little bit of a hard time. I just when I watch a Messi game, I want to see him just dominating. I want to see him have some highlight reel runs and shots, and and even you give him the free kick. What was it, like 4 yards outside the penalty area to tie the game?
It was pretty far. That was
like 3 yards outside the penalty area to win the game.
That was about 16 yards outside the box. That was never going to beat Manuel Neuer from there. I would have liked to have seen him do better with that kick, and I'm in the same opinion. When I turn on the TV and I see him playing for Argentina, I want to see him just dominate. Speaking of legacies, that's what legacies are made for. That's what the Maradona story is all about. Yep. Dominating a World Cup. That's what Pele is all about. Dominating World Cups. And regardless of your team, how well they are, you can lead them to victory.
Exactly.
He didn't do that this year.
No, and that's all that he's missing.
Yeah, that's the only trophy he's missing. Unfortunately, he went up against Die Mannschaft.
Yeah. And he collapsed. However, there were some other collapses. Namely, the host nation. What can you say about Brazil?
Well, we just said that Messi went up against Die Mannschaft and lost. Brazil, the entire country was out there against Die Mannschaft, and they got humiliated.
Touchdown, and the extra point is good. Yeah, that was ridiculous. And I understand, okay, they're missing their best player in Neymar.
And their
I understand
captain.
You're missing your captain. But just the utter lack of competence from their defense is embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Brazil that we're talking about. You're telling me that they lose 2 players and they're a little league squad? It was gross.
I mean, each game it has to be taken into consideration on its own accord. And I feel like once Germany scored that first goal, they were, all right, we're in good position. And Brazil was like, oh crap, we need to come back.
Yeah.
And then Germany scores that second goal, and it's 15 minutes into the game? Now Brazil's sitting back going, what the hell is going on? And as soon as the restart goes, Germany steals the ball back, runs down the field, scores 3.
Yeah.
At that point, in a soccer game, in any sport, but especially in a soccer game, if you're up 3-0, 15 minutes in, you taste blood.
Yeah.
You are just going for the net. You want to score now. I'm sure Manuel Neuer wanted to score.
Yeah.
Right?
Why not?
Yeah, and you know what? Brazil was probably totally shell-shocked. They probably had tons of self-doubt.
It's hard not to.
It's hard not to when you're down 5-0 in the first half.
And you feel the pressure of the entire yellow crowd.
Yeah, and you
true.
can see their reaction in the stadium. I can't imagine playing in front of 70,000 people who are crying is all a lot of fun.
Yeah.
When you're losing, but being Germany, seeing that many people crying, you're probably like, oh yeah, this is a whole lot of fun. Let's get closer to the record.
Well, exactly. That's what they came here to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you do feel bad, but then on the same token, then they came out against the Netherlands and they lost by a field goal. So, and it's not as bad, of course, but it's also the third place game. I mean, how...
I think the same dynamic worked there. As soon as the Netherlands scored first, they're like, okay, we got this in the bag. Let's just keep going.
Yeah.
And Brazil was like, why did we even bother coming out to play this?
Yeah.
There would have been some redemption had they won, but they went down way too easily.
It's true. And you're right, though, because there is something to be said. It's more enjoyable to win the third place game than to lose the finals, but you lost the third place game, and you knew that you were going to lose as soon as you went down 1-0, or at least that's where your mindset went. So, yeah, they checked out, and it's disappointing.
Very disappointing.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move over to the Diamond. Last night was the MLB All-Star Game.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Jeter's last. Put up a pretty solid performance, going 2 for 2.
I love just how the game started. You know, it starts with him in the outfield, and he makes a great dive, great catch, coming through the gap there, and he almost turns the play at first, although Andrew McCutchen is a cheetah.
Like a cheetah in Africa, or a cheetah Alex Rodriguez?
I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble saying he's like the African cheetah, but no, he is. No, he's speedy. He is a speedy guy. Please don't get offended.
Yeah.
No, Jeter. He being Jeter played an outstanding game, and just it adds to his legacy. Watching his first at bat, they give him a long standing ovation. I think it was like 2, maybe even 3 minutes standing ovation at the plate. Wainwright wouldn't even pick up his glove to pitch to him. Jeter was ready to go. He's a proud guy, but he's a humble guy as well. And then as soon as the crowd dies down, you hear one jackass Minnesota fan yelling "overrated" right as he spanks one down the right field line. And thanks for coming out. Like, what? Just shut up. Just shut up, Minnesota random fan. Had a little bit too much to drink.
Yeah.
Go Twins.
Way to go, buddy, with your Justin Morneau jersey still on.
Yeah. What do you think about Trout being named the MVP?
I didn't watch the game. From all I know about Mike Trout, deservedly so.
Yes. And I should say that, I did watch, I think I watched 6 innings of the game. He was the MVP of the game. That being said, you don't give him the MVP of the game. You give it to Jeter. Of course, you give it to Derek Jeter.
Like you just said, though, he's a proud guy, but he's also humble. I feel like he knew that he probably shouldn't have been starting in that All-Star game, and that the guy who yelled over it had some backing to it. He's not having the great year statistically. And I just feel like you give him a trophy just for being Derek Jeter, like it's just gonna take away from it. And you know what? You say goodbye to Jeter, and in the same game you say hello, Mike Trout. This is a guy who's younger than 22 players in the MLB Future Stars game. He's 22 years old. He's already been second in AL voting 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
And both times the guy was hitting. Both times Cabrera was just hitting unreal.
Yeah.
So, Mike Trout, I think, deserves that MVP, and he's going to be the next face of the MLB's stars.
Oh, absolutely. And you mentioned 2 guys that I wanted to talk about as well. Excuse me. Well, I guess I brought up Mike Trout, but you're right. Mike Trout he's the best player in the AL, except for the first Triple Crown winner in, like 50 years, something like that. So that's saying something, and the fact that he's only 22. But I mean, I would have liked to see a little more recognition. Although Farrell did pull Jeter in the third inning, so he got a second standing O, and of course he got a standing O when the game actually started. So, I guess he got enough, and he is doing the farewell tour,
he's getting
29 presents
at every park he goes to. He's going to be fine.
Yeah,
he doesn't need an All-Star game MVP in his last year.
No, I was disappointed though in the Canadian content. And Jose Bautista, he just looked a little weak in the outfield. Went 0 for in the home run derby, or did he hit one home run? It was no contest. Yasiel Puig went 0-4 in the home run derby, which was interesting, except for the fact that Yasiel Puig, and just like Mike Trout, he's a face of the game.
I think Puig and Cespedes. I'm loving this Cespedes kid.
Oh, he's a slugger.
He's not only a slugger. I like him in the outfield.
Yeah.
The guy has 11 assists from outfield already.
Does he really?
He throws people out from the outfield like it's nobody's business.
Yeah.
It's actually quite amazing to watch. Speaking of watching and amazing, All-Star games. MLB's doing it right.
Oh, no doubt.
What do you want to see done with the NFL?
Well, I think the NFL is the only of the four major North American sports that kind of has their hands tied in that they can't really make arguments against expanding from a 16-game season to an 18 and then say, okay, but we're going to play a 17th game where only the best players have a chance of getting injured. So I think the fact that they do it at the end of the year, and it is kind of a joke, they do it in Hawaii, it's really, that one's for the players. And so I understand that. It's not an all-star game.
Why not make that game like a flag football game? It essentially is right now. And that way you just eliminate the pads, you eliminate the tackle, and you just get to see some skill. You get maybe 4 teams. Let the quarterbacks choose their team who they want to throw to. You make some kind of rule adjustment for linemen so they can participate as well.
Okay.
That way every quarterback can lead their team to a victory. It might be more meaningful, more cool to watch than just, oh, hey, here's 2 teams barely going at each other. Why are you going to run the ball ever?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be opposed to that. That's actually not a bad idea.
What about the NBA?
Well, the NBA and the NHL have no excuse, and I get that, in Olympic years, you don't want to take a second break, or you can't take a second break. But the NBA All-Star Game is a joke. It's a game of pickup. It's entertaining, but it's not an All-Star Game. If they had something on the line to play for, last year, World Series goes to 7 games, and the Red Sox get to play at home because the AL won the All-Star Game.
Yeah.
Like, how great is that?
That's a huge incentive. I like, for the NBA and the NHL, to kind of revert back to what the NHL used to do, where they would take the winner of the Stanley Cup the previous year and pit them against an all-star team.
Okay, you're going way back.
Yeah, and I could definitely see that. Now making an all-star team kind of means more.
Yeah.
Now you're the Stanley Cup champion and going against an all-star team. Are you really that good? Yeah, can you beat them?
That's not bad. I'd like to see that.
Yeah. Same thing with the NBA.
But where's
Can San Antonio beat a team with LeBron James, Chris Paul, Kevin Durant?
But I wonder, where's the incentive then? If you win the Stanley Cup, you play 8 months or 7 months or whatever of hockey, your heart out, and then you have to go play an all-star team, and you got the excuse in your back pocket that if you lose, well, we just played for so long and it's an all-star team. Do you still get the same effort out of it?
It's at the end of the day, it's still going to be an all-star game, but now they might want to play. And now the all-stars don't want to lose. You don't want to lose to the championship team.
No.
Twice.
That's true. Yeah, I can see that. I don't think that's bad. I also don't think it would be that tough to just, take out a long weekend. And, you see how baseball does it is perfect. The fact that they don't have to take any breaks during their season helps. But, like for Olympics. But regardless, there needs to be something changed to the other All-Star games.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. We're doing our one-ups and we're doing a World Cup recap. World Cup recap.
World Cup recap.
Gonna lead us off here.
All right, let's...
Troke, who was your best player of the tournament?
My best player is Tim Howard. And my reason being, looking back on this tournament, what am I going to remember? I'm going to remember how dominant Germany was, how Brazil collapsed, and Tim Howard's highlight reel. Getting the USA further than they were expected to get, even expected by their coach. And yeah, that's what I'm going to pick.
I'm going to go with Messi. I think he was the best player of the tournament, deservedly MVP. Give out a special shout out to James Rodriguez from Colombia and the meme generator Tim Howard.
Yeah, don't ever call him James Rodriguez.
No.
That is not his name.
No.
All right, who's your most disappointing player? The flip side of the coin.
The man who just got sold to Barcelona, Luis Suarez. This is a guy who dominated the EPL this year. Dominated.
Took a bite out of the EPL
Almost
this year.
single-handedly took Liverpool to their first championship in God knows how long. Came back from a suspension from biting. Sat down in an exclusive interview and said he was done with biting people. He doesn't know why that comes out, but he's not going to do it anymore. He's changing his life around. And in Uruguay's last group stage, when they need to win to advance, he foolishly bites another player. Lucky he didn't get caught, because Uruguay would have probably been down to 10 men and then out.
Yeah.
And then they promptly get eliminated by Colombia because it's not even close. He cost his team a very good chance.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. Everything that you just said is fair. That guy's got some explaining to do. My most disappointing player, and it comes with a bit of an asterisk. I'm really choosing the way that I interpret the word disappointing, is Neymar. Because on the one hand, when you don't put up when you're expected to in the World Cup, that's disappointing. When you don't get to play in all your games as well, that's disappointing. And now I can't even look back. I'm disappointed that I can't even say, he was hands down the most disappointing player, because then I'm going to have people at home saying, oh, but he was injured. Oh, but he was injured. So I'm disappointed that I can't rag on him like I'd like to. So overall, he was the most disappointing player for me. What about the most disappointing team? Whole team now.
Gonna go with England.
Okay.
The first game against Italy, okay, you can recover. You can regroup, you can rebound from one loss in that group. They're up against Uruguay, who've given them fits in the past. Luis Suarez is back in there. He's coming off surgery on his knee. And you let him dominate.
Yeah.
You let him dominate you. He scores 2 goals. You lose another game. In your last game, you play Costa Rica. And you tie.
Yeah.
0-0.
1 point.
1 point.
Split between 3 lines.
2 goals.
Yeah. I'm sticking with that group. That's just the group D, the group of disappointment. Italy, and there were disappointing teams. Spain certainly had a disappointing run, but in my eyes, for Spain at least, they can go home and say, well, we won Euro, we won the World Cup 4 years earlier. We're tired. We played a lot of soccer. We're tired, and we've got the accolades. You're Italy. You get eliminated in a really poor fashion in South Africa. Then you come to South America.
They lost to Slovakia, one of the Slovaks.
Yeah. You come to South America,
I just wanted to remind you.
You get embarrassed by Costa Rica. And granted, Costa Rica played out of their shoes. But if you're Italy, you're one of the European superpowers. That's a game you win.
You just made the finals of the Euro Cup.
Exactly. So yeah, now they've gone 8 years without a group stage appearance since winning the World Cup. They've got to be disappointed. They got to go back to the drawing board. I love Gigi Buffon, but maybe 5 was too many. They're my biggest disappointment. And on the flip side, my biggest surprise from the tournament was also from that group. It's Costa Rica. They're everybody's favorite team now.
We just talked about that whole group.
Yeah.
Suarez is pretty much Uruguay.
Yep, it's true. You know what? They for CONCACAF to have a team do so well is very impressive and rewarding. For it to be Costa Rica is even better. You know, it shoots down any population theorists out there. And you know what? They faced some adversity too. They went down 10 men to Greece, and they held them off the score sheet. Well, sorry, Greece scored 1 goal, but they held them to penalty kicks after that, and then they ended up winning. And then they hold Netherlands scoreless. They went into that game and they did exactly what they wanted to do. You know, they knew that they weren't gonna beat Netherlands in regular time or in extra time. They needed to get it to penalty kicks 0-0, and they did just that.
Yeah.
Then it's a coin toss, and they got the wrong side of the court.
They got Tim Krul.
Exactly.
They got the cruel end of that.
Well said. How about you? Who's your biggest surprise?
Biggest surprise? Not named Costa Rica for sure. Actually, you know what? I have a few surprises. Two of them. They both start with A. Argentina.
Yep.
Although I was rooting for Messi to get his World Cup, by no means did I expect him to get to the finals. And then Algeria.
Yeah.
I was cheering for a bunch. Algeria and Nigeria. I was cheering for 3 African teams. Cameroon, Ivory Coast,
And
Ghana. Didn't care what Nigeria or Algeria did, but those were the 2 African teams that made it on. And you know what? Good for them. They played France tough. They played Germany even tougher.
Mm-hmm.
Well done.
Yep. And yeah, you raised a good point. You know, the African nations, there were 5 of them that got through, and you know, you love to see them do well. You love to see same with CONCACAF, same with New Zealand can ever get in. You're going to be rooting for them, but you like to see a non-European, non-South American team win.
Do well.
Exactly, and you look at the 5 African nations, and you know your best hopes in order, in my opinion, are with Ghana, Ivory Coast, and Cameroon.
Yeah.
And Nigeria, Algeria. So, and maybe the world's just a little bit late on Nigeria because they did win the African Cup. So maybe they're just not getting the credit they deserve.
But no, they played a good tournament.
Oh, absolutely.
They got lucky against Bosnia, but they played a good tournament.
They're going to get the credit now.
Yeah. Looking forward to Russia.
Russia.
2018. Who do you like? Who would you want to be?
And you know what? And I don't know if I like them to win, but I want to be the U.S.
Yeah.
I do. They showed and proved in this tournament, and they're going to be coming back even more experienced. Now the Americans are watching soccer and enjoying it, and the U.S. is a superpower in most sports, with the exception of soccer because it's not as widely watched. But after this World Cup, that's going to change. They've got 4 years to prepare and to offer citizenship to players that are on the fringe of Italy and Mexico and some other squads. And just the fact that they've got, you know, it's the Cold War of soccer now. They can go to Russia and perform better than the Russians. I want to be them, and I don't want to be Russia. I will say that. I do not want to be Russia.
I do not want to be Russia.
After the disappointment of their hockey team and of most of their athletes in Sochi, I do not want to be there when Vladimir Putin says, okay, it's time for you to take the pitch.
Yeah.
Show me what you got. Or you go to Siberia.
And I show you who your family I got.
Yeah. Although, granted, Russia will have the advantage of playing with Ukraine's best players as well.
Andrei Shevchenko.
Yeah,
Suit up.
Who do you want to be in 2018?
This is a no-brainer. I want to be Germany.
Okay.
I think they're going to be the favorite. They're going to be favored for Euro in 2016 too, but I think this is a team that they're going to be favored. They have amazing depth.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of young players. Brilliance all over the pitch. And a coach who knows how to make those pieces work.
It's true.
I want to be Germany.
Yeah, and you're probably not alone. We take a survey. I bet a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
Me, on the other hand, I'm sticking with the Allies. You can have your
Right.
Axis.
All right, everybody. The World Cup recap is a wrap.
So are the Bullies.
So are the Bullies.
Thanks for listening.
Auf Wiedersehen.
So long. Watch some sports.